Well, welcome everybody, and I am going to share my screen with you and start this presentation to tell you all about Book Magic. And after that, I will be asking my co-founder, Jonathan Farrar, to give us a demonstration. So you'll actually get a live demonstration of what you can do in the app. And if you've got questions in the meantime, Joe Gregory, our other co-founder, will be answering questions. So do put your questions in the chat for the meantime. And in the at the end, we'll be able to answer and talk to you live if you've got more questions. So let me share my screen. Make sure it's the right screen. And let me go into the slideshow. Great. Hope you can all see that. So this is to welcome you to the Book Magic Masterclass with me, Lucy McCarraher, and my co-founders, Jonathan Farrar and Joe Gregory. So if you don't know me, I'm the founder with Joe and Jonathan of Book Magic, the founder of Rethink Press with Joe Gregory. We've been going for 13 years, and founder of the Business Book Awards. I've also written 13 books. I've written 3 novels, but 10 of my books are non-fiction, and at least 6 of them are about how to write books. So I do know what you're all going through when you're going through the book writing process, and hopefully that background has gone into making the app as supportive as it can be. And I am also a book mentor, and probably I think the most experienced business book mentor in the UK, and I have mentored all sorts of groups of people through the book writing process. So let me start by reminding everybody, and some of you I know are already published authors. Some of you here are published authors with Rethink Press, which is lovely. But what benefits writing your book, the book that will build your business, brings? There are 4 absolutely clear and almost guaranteeable benefits that come from writing and publishing a great book. And the first one is simply clarity about yourself and what you do, your business, your process, how you work with clients, just unpacking it into a clear structure, a plan, and then writing 30,000 words or thereabouts on what you do gives you incredible clarity. A lot of our authors say that actually their business has developed enormously and improved through simply writing their book about their business. And some people have even pivoted their book, seen what can be done much better, changed their business even, but it does bring fantastic clarity. And also what happens when you write those 30 to 40,000 words is that they all go into the archive of your mind. It kind of clears your mind for new experiences and concepts, but also it just sits there when you want to give pitches, when you want to talk about your business, when you ask questions. You've got it all there as it was written for your book. And of course it is fantastic content for repurposing and turning into blog posts and articles and anything you like. So you get fantastic clarity just from the act of writing your book, even if you never published it, which is of course not what I'm suggesting. But it also gives you enormous confidence because you have that solidity, you have all that experience quantified and qualified behind you. And there is something incredibly powerful as well in terms of building your own confidence about being a published author. So you will definitely, when you write your book, you will definitely gain a huge amount of clarity and confidence. You will also grow when your book is out there and in the world. You will also gain a huge amount of authority. A book is an iconic format. There is nothing like a book to say expert, knows what they're talking about, than your name on the front of a beautifully written and produced book. And the way books are distributed around the world, and it's not just on Amazon, there are lots of other distribution channels that your books will go through, as well as people referring your book, talking about your book, passing your book on. And nobody throws a book away. It is a special thing. When you gift your book to people, when they buy your book, they are never going to throw it away. It's not a pitch. It's not a business card. It's not a marketing brochure. So your authority and your influence grow enormously when your book comes out and gets distributed. Thirdly, and this is often the big one, what your book will do will bring you your ideal prospects and clients. And we'll talk about the way this happens by working through the book magic process. But your book is, as I say, it's not an overt sales tool. It is something that has an actual value. It is something that talks about, it is pure value. And if you write it to the right people, it simply engages them and it brings them back like a magnet to work with you on your higher priced services, because what they find when they read your book is they come back to you looking for implementation of that information you've given them in your book. And if you are looking to become more visible, to get speaking gigs, to appear on podcasts, to be asked to speak at events, to be interviewed in the media, then your book is the thing that will get you there. So if there's somebody giving an industry speaking event and you want to be there, what do? You send them a copy of your book. If you want to be interviewed by the media, what do? You send a journalist or a producer a copy of your book. If you want to be on somebody's podcast, how do you get onto it and convince them you're the right person? You send them a copy of your book. It's infallible. So all these four things are almost certain to happen when you get your book written and published and out there. And then there is one other thing that will happen, or possibly several other things, but I don't know what they will be for you. But I have been calling it book magic for many years. And that's why our app is called Book Magic, because when you write your book, extraordinary things happen, and it will be different for every single person. But it happens for everybody. And for some, it's sending their book to somebody they've admired for years and getting an actual response from them. For some, it is getting an incredible international speaking gig with all expenses paid. For some people, it's finding that absolutely perfect and high-paying client. All sorts of things happen. For me, one of my books was published by a man called Joe Gregory, and I met my future business partner by getting my book out there, and that was a real piece of book magic. 13 years later, it's still operating. So something extraordinary will happen to you when you write your book, and it will feel like book magic. So if this is what happens on a regular basis when you write your book, when you publish it and get it out there working for you, why doesn't everybody do it? And sometimes it feels as if everybody is writing their book, but actually it's really only a very small percentage of people who do actually get this done. And this is because a lot of people have every intention of writing their book, but they make some really critical mistakes. So let me tell you what those are so that you can avoid them. And sometimes some of them are really so obvious that you wouldn't believe they happen. But the first one is literally not knowing where to start. Now, you as entrepreneurs, as experts, are the expert in your field. And people come to you and buy your services and your expertise. And you may write blog posts, you may write articles, social media, but actually writing a book is a rather different kind of project. It's a much bigger project than short form publishing. And many people think, oh, I know, I'm going to write my book. But actually, they don't know how to even begin. So there are an awful lot of books trapped in their authors' heads that never see the light of day, that never come onto a page. So please don't be one of those. Make sure that your valuable book gets out there and doesn't get trapped in your head. A lot of people, if they do start writing, they make the mistake of beginning to write before they have properly planned their book. And this is absolutely key. They think that diving into the writing will kind of enable them to get all their material together in a kind of creative way. They'll get in flow, it will all fall into place, they know what they're talking about. But actually, if you don't plan properly, that is not what happens. What happens is you get into chapter 1 or 2 or 3, and then suddenly it becomes overwhelming. You wonder what goes where, what comes next. Should I actually put this bit in now, or should I leave it till later? Should I edit what I've already done, or should I just keep writing? Should I do some more research? Should I proofread? It just becomes overwhelming. And they don't realize that by working alone, as many people do, that they're just compounding this problem because they've got no one to check in with. So I think we all have, what informs almost all of these is that people have this romantic idea about what writing a book is like, that it should be creative and very personal. And we have this idea of the creative writer sitting in their lonely garret, scratching away at their at their manuscript. But actually, that is the worst way to go. Working alone when you are writing your book is one of the things that just allows people to kind of drift off. They get confused, they get overwhelmed, and they don't actually ever finish their book. So the critical mistakes to avoid are these ones, which is actually not ever getting started, not properly planning, and not understanding that there is a process to go through, and not asking anybody else to help with it. And also, another reason people do not write their book is that they start to think in any of these stages that maybe it's just too much of a risk. Obviously, it takes time and it takes money to publish a book, and they start to worry that actually they'll put all this time and money into this project and it won't deliver. It won't have the effect of getting a return on their investment. But that is actually completely the wrong way of looking at it. Actually, the way to look at it is, what is the risk of you not writing your book? And it would be the risk of not writing your book is what would happen if your next competitor writes their book and grabs the market and becomes seen as the expert in their field. If you have a whole lot of prospects out there who never get the chance to read all that valuable information you would put in your book and then come back and work with you. If those people who, would like to have you speaking on their platforms don't get the chance because you cannot showcase yourself in your book because you haven't written it. Now, two people who really almost didn't write their books are here on the right of the screen. Sapna Piru is a fantastic brand expert, but she had an awful lot of imposter syndrome. And even on the last night before her book was due to be published the next day, she called me and said, look, I just think this is all too much. I'd really rather not do this. Can we just not publish it? I've written it. I know it's fine, but I just think it's too scary. It was, as you can see, a really beautiful book. It is a very good book. And luckily, I talked her down and we published the book. What happened next was that she entered it in the Business Book Awards and won an award. She used her book in all the right ways. She got it out to potential clients and to new markets. She now talks at universities, works with students, works with a whole load more people, has increased her market no end through being able to tell them about what she does in her book. Below Sapna is a wonderful guy called Mark Escott, who had a very unfortunate start in life. He was in care, he was expelled for a number of schools, and he ended up in prison. And it was only there that he discovered that he was incredibly dyslexic. So Mark managed to turn his life around, and he started an organization to help other young people who were in his position, the position that he'd been in, called One More Life Chance. He always wanted to write a book, but he never thought that he would be able to because of his dyslexia. when he was at a workshop that we gave, he suddenly realized that there was a way of doing this, that he could write a book. It could come out of his head and be got onto the page with the right support and help. So Mark wrote and published One More Life Chance. And one of the book magic stories I like best is that he was sitting on a train talking to a woman at the end of the day, gave her a copy of his book, because of course when you're a published author you always have copies of your book in your bag and you always give them away to anybody who you speak to. And he went on his way. Train journey ended. 2 weeks later, she came back to him. She called him up and explained that she was his local MP and she loved his book and she wanted to do everything she could to support his business. So that was another really amazing piece of book magic, which would never have happened if Mark hadn't actually written his book. So that's the risk. The risk is what happens if you don't write your book. So how do you make sure that you do get the return on your investment in the time and any money you spend by writing the right book that will do all those things for you? Well, these are the steps that need to happen to make it the right book that does the right work that builds your business. So firstly, you have to position your book to your market. This is not about writing a bestseller, about talking to a massive market. It is about talking to your market. And to do that, you have to position your book precisely to your ideal client. Other people will read it, other people will get value from it, but the person you really want to hook and engage with your book is your ideal client or prospect who will come back and work with you. And that's where you get the return on your investment, through your readers coming back and saying, I need you to implement what I read about in your book. I need you to work with me. The second thing you have to do to get this book written is to plan in detail before you write. And I don't mean just a bunch of chapter headings that you might sort of fill in a random sort of way, but to plan every little part of your book, every topic, every case study, every detail within your chapters before you start writing. And then the writing becomes so much easier, because what you're then doing is almost writing by numbers, writing 500 words on this topic, 1,000 words on that topic, 250 words on this case study. It's all there ready for you to just unpack in the writing process. So the planning and the detail of that is absolutely key to writing the right book and making sure that you are going to get this finished. It's also vital to understand that, especially when you get to the writing part of it, that there is a process. It's not just one big amorphous task full of odd and random things like researching and writing and editing and proofreading and checking and referencing. It is actually a step-by-step process that can be broken down into manageable chunks so you don't get overwhelmed and you can make your way through to the end of the writing process. And fourthly, it's vital to get support and accountability, ideally to work with a coach or a mentor, and also ideally to be part of a group, of a community who are also doing the same thing, because the process of writing your book is not just an intellectual one, it's also an emotional one, and you will go through ups and downs. And the important thing to know is that this is normal. And this is part of the process, and that everybody else will be going through it as well. And it's not just you, and it's not just your book, and it's not just you having imposter syndrome. It is part of the process. And if you can join with a group of other people who are doing this in the same sort of way as you, it will make a huge amount of difference to your enjoyment of the process, and also getting through to the end of it. And that kind of accountability that also happens when you're working with other people and with coaches and mentors, that, you know, you've put yourself out there, you say you're going to do this, and you will be held to it. And finally, work with experts. Now, people come to you. You are experts in your field. People come to you to get your expertise in doing something that they don't have the skills or the knowledge or the background in doing. And writing a book is like that. It makes all the difference in the world. However good a writer you think you are, if you haven't actually written, positioned, planned, and written a book before, you need to work with experts. And that's true even if you haven't, even if you have done it before. It makes a huge difference to work with experts in the field who will take you through a tried and trusted process in manageable chunks that gets you from one end of this important project to the end of it. So how do we actually do that? Let me go into a bit more detail on all the steps that I've mentioned. So in Book Magic, our first step, as I've said, is to position your book to your market. And this Venn diagram represents the way we have developed this positioning process over the years. So we call it the 3 Ps of position. And it's absolutely vital to clarify and detail, but also summarize the person, your ideal client that you are writing for, the pain they are in when they come to read your book and want solutions to their problems or answers to their questions or a salve for their pain, and your promise, what you are writing about in your book, the solution that you can give them, that is your expertise, your experience in how you work with the process you take your clients through. So that's how we've always worked, taking people in real life through that process. But it's now been incorporated into Book Magic, and getting clarity on this interlinking trio of person, pain, and promise enables you as a budding author to focus your book, and not just the content, but also things like your title and subtitle, on your key market, your ideal clients. So let me just go into a bit more detail about this. You position your book, as I've said, to your market, not to the widest possible market that a traditional publisher might want their authors to go for, but to your market. So on the left, I have 2 people here who wrote very, very different books, but their books were positioned so well to their market that they each ended up with very successful books. So the first book there is aimed at startup tech companies, and this got the author onto the Google platform, where he was talking to precisely the people he needed to sell his services to. And down at the bottom, Alison's market is tradespeople, not at all a completely different market, but she went through this same process of person, pain, and promise, and wrote a book that was ideally pitched to the people, the plumbers, the electricians, the builders, who found it very difficult to run a business. And she, out of her book, she now runs a thriving academy, and the book's been surprisingly, in a way, successful. So it is absolutely built both of their businesses by very clear aiming at their market. So the 3 Ps of position: the person, you need to have absolute clarity about a single person or a single avatar who you write your book to. And in Book Magic, our AI coaches are absolutely brilliant at helping you clarify those. So we ask through the Book Magic positioning process, ask lots of questions about who your ideal clients are, what do they do, what kind of industry they might be in, or whether they're a business or an individual, and we find out who they are and then clarify who that person is. And even if you want, you can create a visual of them that sits at the top of your screen, so you are always talking to this one person, and that will make your book absolutely speak to your ideal client. We also go through in detail, finding out what their issues are, what the pain is. And this is what you know incredibly well, because, you know, this is how you have built your business on other people's problem that you can solve. So we go into detail on the pain, the questions they need answering, the problems they need solving. And likewise, and this is especially the biggest one in a way, is your promise, because that is the content of your book, how you solve their pain, their problems, what your process is, and you need to be able to summarize that. And the book magic process really helps you get this absolutely clear and keeps your book on track in using these 3 P's of position to get your book out there, speaking exactly to your market. So then we get to the planning process. We've done the positioning, then we go to planning. And the planning process we use, this is our unique book builder planning process that was originally developed using literally 5 colors of index cards. And that's how we used to work with our in real life clients, with our authors, plan out their book on a table, on the floor even, with these packets of index cards. And we then turned those into a standalone book planning software. And you can see, you can actually get a great visual of how your book is structured and positioned. And you can see that there are 3 different kinds of content. The white cards are your hard copy, your topics, your information. The blue cards are the illustrative stories, case studies, anecdotes from your own story. And the green cards represent data, charts, graphs, research, references, quotes that you use to back up your own information. And then they're divided into chapters, pink cards, and possibly divided. Your book then can divide further into parts, into bigger parts. And that's how our planning process has developed. And now it's elegantly incorporated into the Book Magic app. And that's what it will look like when you plan your book in Book Magic. And AI is incredibly helpful in getting that planning right. It might suggest things that you don't agree with, but that's fine. You're the expert. You get to say whether that's right or wrong, but it can be extremely helpful in coming up with ideas to help you plan and structure your book before you start the writing process. So, of course, the next step then is understanding there's a process through the writing step. So the writer process is an acronym that breaks down the steps of writing a 30,000 to 40,000 word book into achievable, manageable chunks. And the first step is W for write, and that is write your first draft. Without stopping, without editing, just getting what's in your head out onto the page, out into the Book Magic app. So you have a full and very imperfect, and that's absolutely fine, draft. Ernest Hemingway said all first drafts are shit, and that is the gold standard. It doesn't have to be good. You're not aiming for perfection at this stage. But the next steps, review and improve, constitute a 2-step self-edit where you review what you've done and then you go back and improve that first draft manuscript. And then you have a much more readable and elegant second draft. And at that point, T for test, we help you choose carefully chosen beta readers, and we tell you how to brief them and get the right kind of feedback to really help you finalize a third draft. When you get their feedback, you edit it, E for edit, into a final third draft, and then you may want to repeat any outstanding actions. But this has been the third of our classic models, from position to plan to write, that we have taken so many authors through. Previously, we created a manuscript template for our in real life authors to help them get their book written through this process. It looks incredibly clunky now, when what we have now in Book Magic is so seamlessly included in the app. and you're taken through in Book Magic. Your AI coach will take you through these steps. There's lots of support, there are lots of videos, there are lots of help with that, and there's also fantastic help with getting into a writing habit, with scheduling writing times, and reminders, and so you do get your book written. So finally, getting support and accountability and working with experts is what you also need to do. And thanks to the collaboration between Rethink Press and the Key Person of Influence over the last 10 years, I've personally mentored over 2,000 authors through their writing process. And Rethink Press, uniquely in the publishing industry, has built an extraordinary team of business book writing coaches and ghostwriters who have worked one-to-one with hundreds of authors using this same process. And all this experience has flowed into the Book Magic app. And this is now the Book Magic live coaching team. There, at any point, you can actually book a live session with a real life experienced business book coach through the app. So while the AI is fantastic, if at any time you want to have human contact and human feedback on what you're doing, you can always have that as well. And this is the Book Magic AI coaching team. And yes, strangely, that's an AI version of me, but there are other choices as well. So Book Magic supports you in every way possible, through real life coaching and through AI coaching. And I must tell you now, though, that Book Magic does not write your book or encourage you to write your book with AI. It's incredibly good. The AI is brilliant for all sorts of supporting work around and suggestions and ideas around the book, but your book has to be written by you. Your book needs to be a reflection of your voice, your expertise and personality, and not just a compilation of generic AI generated content. Otherwise, it will only regurgitate the information that's already out there. So AI is fantastic at bringing together huge amounts of information and content that is out there on the internet, but it can't get inside your head. And that is what your book has to be about. So while it's brilliant at helping with the positioning and planning and helping you move along the writing process, you actually have to do the writing. And in fact, that's great. It's such a great piece of self-development to do that. Even if you don't enjoy writing that much, you will do by the time you get to the end of this process. And it is all about what your ideal clients want to hear is what you do, what you know, what your experience and expertise is, how you've worked with clients, your case studies, your book, your business journey. So we don't encourage you, and in fact AI does try to prevent you from writing your book with AI. And also, if you do write your book with AI, if you've ever tried to do this, you will have to re-edit it completely before it will be accepted for any kind of publication on Amazon or any publisher. And that is much more time consuming than actually just writing it yourself. So I just want to make that clear. Book Magic AI is fantastic using AI for what it's really good at, but the writing is down to and must come from you. So as well as the Book Magic steps that we've honed over a decade of practical work with real life authors, this coaching app also makes use of cutting edge learning theory. So current research shows that there are only two key learning styles that matter: expert and novice. And the description of experts are that they are people who have developed extensive mental models in a specific field through years of experience that allows them to assess challenges rapidly, respond fluently, efficiently, and successfully. And this means that Book Magic is the expert in book writing. Novices, on the other hand, benefit from explicit instruction, seeing models, hearing explanations, practicing small steps. And that is exactly how the app supports you, the author, through learning to write a great book. But of course, there is a conundrum here because you are also the expert in your own field and very far from a novice. So while we're there, Book Magic is there to give you tried and tested models and outlines for book writing. It's crucial that you remain in control of your own expertise. And, you know, if your AI coach or the suggestions for structure, if they suggest something that doesn't feel right to you, you are the expert and you need to go with your best intelligence. So Book Magic will never patronize or infantilize you as the expert by telling you to write your book in a one-size-fits-all structure, or believes the AI knows better than them. It doesn't. AI helps you to write the best book that you can write. And we also know that there are two fundamental types of mental processing. So there's internal processors like me who tend to think by writing, and external processors who often think by speaking. So Book Magic provides both options. You can write your book, type your book in the app in words, develop your ideas that way, which is what I will almost always do. Or you can speak your words into the app and watch them appear before you. So, you know, or you can use a bit of both. So, I mean, for instance, if you're kind of, you know, you find yourself somewhere with 10 minutes to spare and you suddenly have a fantastic idea of something you want to put in your book, just open up the app, click on the mic and talk it there, and it will be written for you, and you'll, you know, find it in as part of your book when you to be edited when you go back to it. So you can choose one or the other, whichever suits you, or you can do a bit of both. So basically, there are no excuses for not getting your book written. And perhaps my greatest learning over the decade of book mentoring that I've done is that the most important thing I can do for an author and ensure that they finish writing their book is to be there for them all the way, to the bitter end, however short or long it takes. And this is what Book Magic does. It's not a finite program where the coach has a timeline and then moves on to their next cohort, or a course that closes before you've finished writing. Your AI coach will never leave you. If you need human input, you can always book a session or more anytime with a real life coach. And in our Book Magic community group, I am there personally every week, taking calls on live Zoom calls with subscribers. I'm happy always to talk to people, to answer your questions, to support you, encourage you. And it's also a great place to be part of that community, to be with other authors who are going through the same process and ups and downs that you are until you're done. And finally, just to say that you can get started on Book Magic for free. You can get as far as the positioning without having to sign up. But we have got a special launch price on at the moment. So it's £39 plus VAT a month for our essential program. You can stay as long or not. I mean, it is a monthly subscription, so you can stop at any time, and you can get an awful lot done. You can get the whole thing done with the essential program. And I have to say that is an awful lot cheaper than, much as I love our real life coaches, than paying for even a group mentoring program. It is incredible value for what it is, and our professional level gives you even more, gives you the collaboration option, so you can invite beta readers, and gives you extra tutorials and resources, and offers you a book landing page so that you can promote your book in advance. And that at the moment is only £59 a month plus VAT. The ultimate program the ultimate subscription will be coming after the summer. It's not there yet, but you can go to bookmagic.ai and have a look around, try it for free, and sign up whenever you feel like it. So I am now going to stop sharing and ask Jonathan to give us a live demo so you can see what Book Magic actually looks like on the inside.
Thanks so much, Lucy. That was great. So I'm going to go through and sort of get you bootstrapped so you can jump straight in and use Bookmagic. So when you first land on the app, this is what you'll be presented with, is the option to add a book. You can add in a title, but if you're not sure on a title, that's not a problem. You'll have an opportunity to generate those with AI, or if you've got a working title, then you can drop those in at this point. You can set your target word count. We recommend that as 30,000 words for a business book, but it can vary between sort of 10,000 if you're writing a short book, or some authors have even hit the sort of 50K mark. So an opportunity here to set what your target word count will be. You can optionally select some options here or why you're writing a book. So it might be you're attracting more clients, raising your profile, and these all will be put into the AI model. So I create that book and then I land into a program. And this program, as Lucy described, has AI coaches, which will walk you through every step of the way. The first thing you get to do is actually choose your AI coach. So I'm going to choose Lucy and then click that. And then Lucy's actually just appeared down here. So if I want to, I can always go back and select a different coach, but there's no competition. So for here, I'm going to go in and actually start the program. So the first thing we look at is actually core values. This is a fun exercise. It's completely optional, but this will walk you through a series of widgets where you can narrow down to a summary of your core values. You'll end up with a nice glowing report of what your values mean to you and also to writing your book, and a selection here that you can see I've pre-populated. Once you've done that exercise, you're then going to move on to positioning your client and positioning your business. And before we jump into that, I'm going to move over here. So on the left-hand side, you'll see there's a side navigation. The top one, if you expand that, you can see what each of those is. The top one is your dashboard. So if you're ever lost in the process, you can always go to your dashboard and you can see here that there's a middle panel, which is a high-level view of everything that Bookmagic offers. The first section or column here on the left is the positioning work. So you can see where we just were, the value section. It then leads into ideal client, positioning your business, and then finally having a go at a first draft for your introduction. Once we've completed the positioning work, we go into the planning stage. And some people prefer to drop in and out of each of these bits. It's completely up to you. It's how you like to work. You may get stuck on a section and want to come back to it. Again, that's absolutely fine. So we can position, or alternatively, if you'd like to work sequentially, you can position your book and then go into the planning of your book. Until you've done these two, you wouldn't start writing. You could, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. But ideally, like Lucy says, you want a very good plan up at the front so that you can then have a much easier writing journey. On the right-hand side here, we've also got, so the writer process will take you through each of those that Lucy described. So writing a first draft, reviewing and improving to get a second draft, and then inviting beta readers to then get a final manuscript with all the final amends. In addition to that, though, you can start promoting your book. And actually, we recommend that you start that almost straight away. You can create a wait list and start sharing that onto your social channels. We've got some free social posts, and these refresh every time that you log into Bookmagic. And essentially, the idea of this is really to start building up a subscriber list, getting feedback from them, letting them know when your book's out. Not only does that hold you accountable, but it also keeps them updated. And when your book does launch, you can get an immediate sort of group of sales off the back of it. And then finally, you'll see there's the publish section on the right-hand side. So here you can actually book a direct consultation with Rethink Press. Now with Bookmagic, you're not tied in. You can export your manual in any way, shape or form. You will get a rich text format, which is accepted by all publishers. However, we do make it very easy to book a consultation, which is completely free, and speak to Sarah, who's the commissioning editor at Rethink Press. So your entire journey is on this panel of writing your book. So as I say, it can be really helpful if you get lost to drop it back here. But let's carry on. So we've done our value section. We're now going to go in to the ideal client work. And you'll see here that what you've got is a series of videos which give you lots of information. And this is, Joe and Lucy's, decades of working with thousands of entrepreneurs to write books has all gone into these videos. So it's packed with detail. As you work through each of the videos, you'll then be asked to do the sections. And every time you give some information, it just improves how good the AI responses will be when you're actually writing your book. So for example, here, what's your ideal client's business or type of business? What's their turnover? What are the top 3 reasons they work with you? I'm going to jump out of that. And then we can actually generate an avatar. So based on the information that you provide BookMagic, it can go away and generate you a client avatar. Or if you've already got someone that that would read this book, then you can upload that image and use that as the image for your ideal client. So then as we carry on, you'll see we go into the pain, we could talk about the central question, their problems, your impact, common questions you get asked, and what outcomes your clients get, and why your solution is different. This all feeds into the Venn diagram that Lucy introduced. And so you can see here, this section is about the person, the pain, and the promise. And then after we've positioned our client, we then go into, in fact, I'm going to skip ahead, go to the summary. You then go into positioning your market, your business. So in a similar fashion, you've got videos and exercises to do as you work through. You'll then have all of the information. So once you've completed your client and your business positioning, you've then got all the information you need to write your introduction. So I'm going to come back to the dashboard here. I would have positioned my client, positioned my business, and then go into my introduction. Now, this is optional at this stage. You don't have to write your introduction, but what we have provided is a way to break down what the introduction requires. So we've split it into 5 sections, and you'll see here that the AI is taking the information that I've given, although I haven't given it anything yet, from the positioning work, and it's trying to give me some prompts to help write this section. So there are some ideas here that I might include in there, but there's also a bit of blurb there to give me an example of what's expected. So we go through each of these, just filling in the prompts, pulling all of the introduction together. And then by clicking edit your introduction, it will take all that text and give you essentially a first draft of your introduction. You can then edit that, and then when you're ready, you can add that to your book. And what you'll see is down here on the bottom, you've now got a little title card and also your introduction card. Now, I'm going to jump off here from, go back to the dashboard and just show you. So that would then be the positioning section complete. That outline that we just saw is always available as the second icon down on the left. So this section here is where, once you've completed all of your plan, you'll then see your entire book outline. So we'll come back to this shortly, but let's jump into the plan section. So when we're planning our book, really, this is about doing as much of a brain dump as possible for your topics, the stories, and the data. So once you've got that, the final step is to then sort it into chapters. So let's go have a look. So in the brainstorm topics, first of all, you can actually just get AI coach suggestions. You can just click on that button and it will give you, based on the positioning work you've just done, it will give you some suggestions for your book. But you can also steer it. So you can steer the AI. You can say, for example, I'm going to do bootstrapping startups. Give it that to work with. And then it will focus the brainstorm chapters in addition to your, topics. In addition to the information you gave it in the positioning work, it will come back with some suggested titles. And ideally what we want is 30 to 40 of these. This is the meat of the book. This will make up the bulk of the book's contents. So I'm going to just hit that again, get some more suggestions. And then once we've got those, we're going to work through into the stories.
Un besito nada más.
So we've got the list of topics. We're going to add those to the book. And then you'll see again, you've got this little book outline at the bottom there. So I'm going to go ahead and move to the next section. Let's just move Zoom out of the way. We'll jump into the story section, grab some AI suggested. Now, of course, you can add your own and should. So there are lots of these, whilst these are suggestions, particularly with the use cases, it may be that it comes back with a good story and you think, yeah, I could write about that. That's quite interesting. But you've got your own stories, your own experience. And so this is the ideal place where you would put that and add your own. Again, I'm going to add those 10 stories, and you can see now my book outline is starting to take shape. So I'm going to drag these around a bit just so that it looks like I'm actually putting some thought into this. And then data is the final section. So again, we're going to create some topics. In this instance, these are the statistics, they're the quotes, they're the references of data, which you will include in your book, which you may have, or again, you can use the AI to go and do some research for you and find bits of information which may be relevant to your book. So let's add all of those as well. So I've now got a series of topics, stories, and data. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that all together by using AI. So I can optionally add my own chapters here. So I can put those in and then start dragging and dropping them and making sense of them. But why wouldn't you get an assist at this stage? So AI will go away and it will try and make sense of all the themes in your book and actually create the chapter layout for you first. You can either edit that and then take it forward, or you can completely reject it and just do it yourself. It's completely up to you how you want to work with it. Essentially, once we've got this book outline and are happy with it, it will make up the book contents page, which will then be able to take forward into the writing process. So we'll see if this is going to take, if it's taking too long, we'll just jump ahead. I'll give it another few seconds. I have fed it quite a lot of garbage, so I'm not surprised if it doesn't. Here we go. So it's try to make sense of all those topics that I've come up with, which actually has done a pretty good job, to be fair. Now, if it thinks that there is a topic which doesn't make sense in the list of chapters that it's created, then it will create an unassigned card and it will just drop all those there. You may think, well, actually, no, that does fit in there and it's important. I do want that one in there, etc. So you can drag and drop until you're happy. Once you're ready to take that forward, you click accept, and this is now your book outline. You can edit any of the titles, change the text, etc. And like I say, drag and drop them across. So let's get into the actual writing then. So we've now done, if I go back to the dashboard, just summarize, we've done the positioning, we've done the planning, we're now into the writing phase. So we can click on the book outline icon there. And what you'll see is you've got your book layout, which is effectively the contents page. You can compile that book and then see just it as text. So it will show you all of the text that you've created so far. At the moment, it's just all of my headings. If I go back to the outline though, there's also a few things to do. So you can change the title of your text here and subtitle. But importantly, I'm going to go and show you some of the writing. So let's pick a topic here, innovation and business, why not? Let's go through and do that. So you'll notice that we're now in a rich text editor. Now, if I go back to the book, it just takes me to this outline. But at any point, I can flip between them. The main bits of interest at this point are the AI assistants. So, for example, at the top, I might not be sure. The worst thing about writing is that you're staring at a blank page and you're not sure where to start. So a great place that we recommend is that you actually ask your client. So for example, here, if I ask my client what would they like to see in this topic, it will come back with some suggestions. And then you can either scratch those off or you can say, well, actually, this one's quite interesting. I might talk about that. So I can either expand on it further. I can ask a specific question to my AI coach, in this case, the AI client, or I can actually just start dictating straight into the app. So it might be that you think that topic's great, you hit the microphone, you start dictating and watch your word count grow. And it really can be that straightforward. Remembering that your first draft is just about getting ideas out of your head. You're not looking for a perfect manuscript at all. You just want to populate the word count. So the other things that are interesting and useful, we can outline a topic. You can simplify some text, so you can select a whole section of text and simplify it. You can summarize some text, but you can also get things like anecdotes. So you can, again, just highlight some text, get an anecdote of that, an analogy for it, a case study, online examples, online research, and even reader activities. So it might be that you've completed your chapter, and what you want to do is give your reader some activities to do at the end of the chapter. So that gives you a good sort of look into how the AI can assist in the writing. We've talked about the microphone to be able to just dictate directly in here, but of course, as Lucy said, you can write instead or do a hybrid of both. You've also got comments, so you can add comments as you go, but we really recommend getting into that once you're into the improved section of the writer process. So I'm just going to jump back in and just talk a bit more about the writer process, and then we'll wrap it up. So at the top, you'll see there's the acronym for the writer process. Now, once you're in the right stage, it really is just about dropping the words into the topics. Select a topic, do a brain dump. Select a topic, do a brain dump. Start populating that word count. When you get into the review stage, once you've hit your word count, what it will do is it will prompt you to then move into the review stage. And then this bit is really just about the comments will automatically be open. And it's just about reading, adding comments, reading, adding comments, reading, adding comments. Go through your entire manuscript. Don't think about editing, just get the comments on there. You'll get little widgets to press to say, yes, I've reviewed this. And again, once you've completed and reviewed each of the topics, you'll then be given the option to move through to the improve stage, which is where you actually do go through and make your edits. By the time you get to that, you've actually got a second draft. Your second draft will be complete. The best thing to then do is to invite your beta readers into the platform. So on the top right here, you'll see there's a menu. Collaborators, you can add and just invite directly via email. So let me send one to myself. And what you'll see is that when you do that, you get the status that they've got. So whether they're invited or whether they've accepted that invitation, or actually whether they're starting to contribute on your manuscript. You can see that they've made some comments. Beta readers can't change the manuscript, but they will leave comments in the margin, which you can then go through and see on this right-hand side. Your coach, if you invite a coach to work on your manuscript as well, so as Lucy mentioned, you can book a coach directly in the app. This will take you through. They can also have access to your manuscript and can comment and work with you on it as you go. So that's a fantastic way to, once you get to certain milestones, invite a coach, work with them, and get that sort of professional input. So we've gone all the way through. We've got our second draft. We've invited our beta readers. They've then given their comments, and then the final stage then is to edit. And this is the all your final edits. You'll then have a manuscript which you can give to your publisher for them to then turn into your book. Lastly, then, oh, sorry, I haven't covered waitlist. So waitlist we'll just quickly look at. Waitlist is a great way to, let me just show you here, is a great way to start inviting some people to become potential patrons of your book, but also to buy it ultimately and give feedback on it. So you can put in anything you like here as long as it's unique. So if I put in something like something unique, then it will tell you whether that's available, and then that will be there for you to send people to. You'll see that you get your own domain, and then essentially what that looks like is you give a book synopsis, an author bio, and when you're planning to publish your book. Anyone that then subscribes onto that waitlist will appear down here, and you've then got a distribution list for your book, which is a fantastic way to start getting interest before you've written the thing. Last few things then. So you can adjust your scheduling. So there's a little calendar here to keep you on target. You can select the days that you intend to write. So if I intend to write 4 days a week and I can commit 1 hour, it will calculate that that's going to take me approximately 8 weeks. In actual fact, what we've seen is that authors are flying through writing the content. So it's much reduced from that. But this gives you an idea. So you can also then get reminders sent. So you can have an email, a push notification, or a text message at a certain time of the day to get you into the writing habit and just hold you accountable. Last thing is that we have introduced AI settings, so it's possible to tweak the way that the AI writes. You can upload some of your own examples of writing. You can give it all sorts of things. You can give it in completely custom notes, or you can set the tone and voice, vocabulary and language, so that the responses you get back from the AI are more suitable to what you'd like. So that is a whistle-stop tour. I realise I've gone through a lot of information, but I hope it gives you, a real Bootstrap approach to getting stuck in and writing your book. I'm going to hand back over to Lucy.
Thanks, Jonathan. That's great. So does anybody have any questions? I know we're slightly over the hour now, but I'm very happy to stick around and answer any questions anybody might have. I think we've tried to answer most of the questions in the chat, but if anybody has any other questions, please do put your hand up, shout out, attract our attention in some way. Well, if not, we must have covered everything, Jonathan. So I hope you've had an interesting hour. I hope you've got an idea of what Book Magic can do for you, and I really hope that you try it. You go in and so it's bookmagic.ai. You should find it very easily. Go in, have a look at it. You can do a fair amount for free before you sign up, and when you sign up, you can stay or go. You can stay as long as you like, take as long as it takes to write your book, upgrade, downgrade, and I hope that you all get your books written and become authors faster, which is what we are there to help you do. Oh, so Christopher, hello, you've got your hand up. Sorry, please do ask.
Yeah, last quick. If you still want coaching, you still want to get on with some program with you, what level is that? Is that available?
Sorry,
Yes, if you still want coaching even with the bookmagic.ai,
yeah,
you want to get on board with you.
Yes, you can do both. I mean, if you're talking about, the coaching for instance, the coaching packages that Rethink Press offer, which is we can coach you through your book, help you through your book with a one-to-one live coach, or with one of our ghostwriters. You can absolutely do that in conjunction with Book Magic, or you can do a book plan with a real live coach, and then come back and work in Book Magic for the writing. You can do it any which way. You can combine real life and AI coaching through Book Magic any way you want to. Is that what you were asking?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Okay, anybody else got a question, or shall we love you and leave you and let you get on with your evening? Well, thank you very much for being here.
I think Michaela Brown has a question. Excuse the background noise.
Not sure what that was. Don't think it was a question. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. It's been great to see you all. And if you have got any questions, you can contact us. You can contact me on LinkedIn. You can contact us on social media, and we can give you more information. So great to see you all. Thanks for being here again, and good luck with your books, and hopefully with Book Magic. Okay.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.